Hello friends, this video on structural organization of animals part 21 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. So now let us talk about the digestive system of earthworm. The way we human beings have food. Why do we have food? Because we want energy to perform different type of tasks. So whenever we eat food, how do we get the energy from that? The food gets digested by our digestive system, and then the digested food is absorbed in our intestine, and then the energy is utilized. Similarly, even earthworm needs energy because they also perform different types of activities. They also move from one place to another, which needs energy. They also try to search their prey. So they also need food for their survival. So they also have a digestive system which looks somewhat like what is being displayed on the screen, and I'm sure by looking at that you might be wondering what is this, right? So that you'll get to know very soon as I start discussing about it. So we will see what are the different organs which together form the digestive system of earthworm. So these are the organs which together form the digestive system: mouth, pharynx, esophagus, crop, gizzard, stomach, intestine, typhlosole, and anus. So these are the organs which together form the digestive system. Now out of these there are many organs which you already know. For example, some of these organs are common in human beings. For example, mouth, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, intestine, anus, all these are present even in human beings. So there are three new organs which will get introduced: crop, gizzard, and typhlosole. What are they? We'll see that very soon. So now we will start understanding each of these organs and we will see their function. And then when we discuss all of them, then you will get to know the process of digestion as well. Let us quickly look at the digestive system. So the first of all, the earthworm will take its food inside through mouth. Now, as I discussed, food enters into the body through mouth, and this is a closed view of the mouth. So here is the mouth, correct? Now from mouth, it enters into the oral cavity, that is the buccal cavity. So mouth and buccal cavity, they cover from 1 to 3 segments. So 1, 2 and 3. First 3 segments is covered by mouth and buccal cavity. These 3. This is your mouth. This is prostomium. That is the covering of the mouth. This is the first segment. This is the second segment. This is the third segment. Then comes the pharynx, which is a muscular structure and acts as a pump. It enables the swallowing of food. Also, pharyngeal glands secrete mucus. So what happens in pharynx? This structure which you see here is the pharynx. So since it is muscular in nature, so there is some contraction, relaxation happening there, because of which it allows the food to move into the esophagus. Right? And also there are some glands present there which secrete mucus. Mucus, being a slimy substance, makes the food even softer and also helps in the movement of the food. Then comes the esophagus or the food pipe. So this pipe-like structure which you see here is the esophagus. So it is a food pipe which carries the food to the gizzard. What is gizzard? Gizzard is this muscular structure which you see here, that is gizzard. So this basically acts as a tube which carries food. That's all. So esophagus is present from 5th to 7th segment. So from 5th to 7th segment, esophagus is present. Now a portion of within the esophagus, there is a part which is known as crop. So it is present within the segments of the esophagus. It is nothing but a temporary food storage area which ensures better mixing of food. Now, the food is coming from the oral cavity through the pharynx and esophagus. Now, immediately it doesn't get into the gizzard. Before gizzard, there is an area where the food is stored temporarily so that the food gets mixed even more properly. So that area is known as crop. So crop is also somewhere here. Then comes the gizzard. Gizzard is again a muscular structure. Now in human beings, we have teeth to chew the food and make it softer, because whatever food we eat, it needs to be broken down in the most simplest form. Right? So for that, some grinding machine is needed. In human beings, it is teeth. But earthworm doesn't have teeth. So all that grinding of food happens in gizzard. Because the food which earthworm eats contains a lot of soil, stones, hard particles, etc. So such particles get grinded and also help in grinding other particles. So the gizzard is muscular in nature, helps in grinding food with the help of muscular contractions and mineral particles like stones and rocks. So that is why this is the kind of appearance, because it has a lot of muscles within it. Right? And food, now since in the gizzard, lot of grinding and all those things are happening, so all the food should not come to the gizzard at once. Food should eventually, gradually, it should come to the gizzard from esophagus, and that is why we have crop, so that it can temporarily store the food for some time, and then as and when needed, it can pass on the food to the gizzard. After that, the food enters into the stomach. So this was gizzard and this is stomach. So what happens in stomach? There are calciferous glands which neutralize the humic acid present in food. Now since the earthworm eats food along with soil particles, so what happens? Soil generally contains humus. Humus is nothing but humic acid. So the food is acidic in nature. In order to neutralize that acidic nature of food, calciferous glands neutralize the same, and these calciferous glands are present in the stomach. After that, the food moves into the intestine. So intestine is this area. Now from which to which segment stomach is present? Stomach occupies 9th to 14th segment. Not exactly 9th, I mean after the gizzard. So it occupies till the 14th segment, and intestine starts from 15th segment and it continues till last. After that, everything is intestine. Okay, so what happens in intestine? The actual digestion process and the absorption process happens in intestine. So there are many gland cells which release fluids to help in the digestive process. So what are the enzymes that are present here? So in the intestine, we have all kind of enzymes to digest the carbohydrates, fats, proteins, etc. So all the process of digestion happens here. Other than that, the intestinal wall contains blood vessels where the digested food is absorbed and transported to the body. So that is also very, very important. That is our main purpose of eating. We eat food so that we get energy. So that energy will come only when the digested food is absorbed, and then that energy is transported to the body. So that also happens in the intestine with the help of the blood vessels present on the walls of the intestine. Now there is another important part of the intestine. In order to ensure better absorption of digested food, typhlosol is present in the intestine. What is typhlosol? So see, this entire thing is intestine. So here you can see some folded structure. So intestine, so typhlosol is an internal median fold of dorsal wall of intestine. So this wall of the intestine gets folded in this structure. Why? So that the effective area increases. So if the effective area will increase, the absorption will also increase. Let me give you an example. Let us suppose you want to absorb something using a wire, and this much is the area, this much is the space which is provided to you. Now suppose if you keep a wire like this, So only this much area will be there. Now let us suppose if you take the same wire and coil it like this, within that much space only. The length is still the same, but the amount of wire which you could use in the same space is much more. So the area of absorption has increased, right? So if you make something curvy, the area of absorption will increase because more wire could be accommodated. Let us suppose if this length was 1 meter, then this length would be maybe 4 meters. So that means the effective length is increasing. The effective area of absorption will also increase. So the similar thing is happening here. Here you cannot increase the intestine in length because everything else is fixed. So what you can do is you can make folds of the wall of the intestine so that the area of absorption increases and more digested food can be absorbed. So typhlosole is this folded wall of the intestine. Okay, so now due to the presence of this typhlosole, the part of the intestine which lies before typhlosole is known as pre-typhlosolar part of intestine. So this part is known as pre-typhlosolar. So where typhlosole is present, that is called typhlosolar part of the intestine. And then the last one is anus. Now the digested food is absorbed. But what happens to the undigested food? Because there will be some particles which the body is not able to digest. So that needs to be thrown out of the body because that is waste for body. The body does not need it. So how do we remove them from our body? Through anus. So the alimentary canal or the digestive tract, it opens to the exterior through an aperture called anus. So egestion of waste products happen through anus. So if this is your earthworm, this is the anus. So all the waste materials are excreted through anus. Right? So I hope this is clear now. If you keep talking about the intestine and if you get into the minute details, you will find that there are many other things in the intestine. Because the intestine is quite long, so you can divide it into two parts. Like how in human beings you have small intestine and large intestine. However, you do not have it like that in case of earthworm. Earthworm, you have pre-typhlosolar and typhlosolar part of intestine. So I hope the process of digestion is now pretty much clear. So it starts with your mouth with the intake of food. It goes into the oral cavity, then to pharynx, then esophagus, then crop, gizzard, stomach. So in stomach, the acidic food is neutralized. Then it goes to intestine where digestion happens with the help of all the with the help of all enzymes, and then the absorption of the digested food happens with the help of blood vessels. Absorption increases due to the presence of typhlosole, and then the waste products are thrown out of the body through anus. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more videos, attempt free online test, get free study material, find tutors and mentors. Thank you once again.